If you're like me, there's a good chance you've been singing for most of your life. You've taken lots of lessons and you may even have a degree in music. If you're an opera singer, then you've also studied languages and worked with coaches on musicianship, phrasing, and rhythm. If you're a musical theater performer, then you have additional training in acting and dance. And if you're a singer-songwriter, then you probably play piano and/or guitar and possibly other instruments as well. And you definitely know how to write music and lyrics. My point is that with or without formal training, if you've been singing for a long time, you probably know enough to launch a voice studio. So in today's video, that's exactly what we'll cover: how to start your own business teaching singing. I was 23 when I started teaching voice, and it happened because friends and a few neighbors would hear me sing and ask me if I taught singing. At first, I felt shy and worried that I wasn't expert enough. But eventually, I just decided to say yes the next time someone asked. One of the things I discovered as I began my teaching journey is that I only needed to know more than my students. And in the beginning, I attracted just the right beginner students. When I was first starting out, more advanced singers might take a lesson with me and then realize we weren't the right fit. Or when we spoke by phone, I might even refer them to my own teacher or another local teacher I knew in the area. I didn't get a degree in music until I was 30 and had already been teaching for 7 years. So don't think you need a degree in music or a contract at the Metropolitan Opera to start teaching. And keep in mind the age, aspirations, and skill level of your ideal students. If you love teaching children, then that's a great path, and in some ways it can be easier financially because the parents have the money set aside for their children's enrichment. While often the more advanced young adult and professional singers have to juggle their expenses between voice lessons, acting lessons, dance classes, headshots, etc., and are paying for everything out of their earnings from their temp jobs, day jobs, survival jobs, singing gigs, waitressing, and/or bartending. Another great group of singing students are the hobbyists. These singers have full-time jobs doing something else entirely. But they love singing as an avenue to self-expression and personal development. Teaching voice is an amazing way to channel your passion and talent into an active service that can also support your own further education and performance-related expenses. And not only this, there's a great line from the intro to Getting to Know You from The King and I that goes, "It's a very ancient saying, but a true and honest thought, that if you become a teacher, by your pupils you'll be taught." And I can't emphasize enough how true this is. I have learned so much from my students, and it always seemed like whatever I most needed to work on in myself, both technically and mentally, would show up during the day with students. Often I knew the answer, but was having difficulty applying it to myself, especially when it was a psychological challenge having to do with my own perfectionism and the limiting belief that I wasn't good enough. It was so much easier to advocate for my students than for myself, but in the process I was reminding myself too. So if I believed that in striving for perfection, my students were creating a recipe for self-loathing and that they were already enough, then eventually I had to come to terms with the fact that it must also be true for me. I was able to learn this lesson over and over and over again as I taught it to student after student, which is one of the reasons I was able to leapfrog my own imposter syndrome to teach you here on YouTube. I know you want to sing and perform, and you may have taken this quote too much to heart: "Those who can't teach," which comes originally from George Bernard Shaw's Maxims for Revolutionists, as well as his play Man and Superman. Shaw wrote, "He who can does, he who cannot teaches." It's a great line for a play, equal parts witty and cynical, but that doesn't make it true. You can definitely do both and do both proudly. There is room in your life to create many varied streams of income as a profitable singerpreneur. And starting your own voice studio is one of them. Here are just some of the benefits of running your own teaching business. You can be your own boss and set your own schedule. You'll learn more about your craft through teaching others. You can develop relationships through networking with other voice teachers, which may lead to more students as well as performance opportunities. Develop lifelong friendships with former students, Be of greater service and mentor singers just starting out. Pass on your passion to the next generation. Make a truly positive impact on someone's life. Feel the satisfaction of sharing your gifts. So now you understand the value in sharing what you know. But how do you start? Well, here are 11 tips to help you launch your new voice studio. First, assess your areas of expertise and decide what you want to teach. Will it be straight vocal technique, or will you include performance skills? Do you specialize in classical or contemporary vocal styles? Do you love jazz bars or prefer coffee houses? You don't have to teach everyone or everything. Clearly figure out what you want to teach and then decide who you want to teach it to. It's important to realize that you do have the power to choose who you teach, and you don't have to take every student who calls. Spend a little time developing a profile for your ideal student. In business, they sometimes call this your customer avatar, and entrepreneurs will call it your ideal client. Really take your time to imagine exactly who you would most want to teach. How old are they? Or do you prefer teaching men or women? Would you like to work with beginners or advanced singers? Do you want to teach hobbyists or people with serious career aspirations? Once you're clear on what you want to teach and who you want to teach, then think about where these people are most likely to hang out. Start talking to your ideal student on social media. Give him or her free singing tips on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Start a blog about singing. If you're interested in teaching children, address your posts to their parents. Educate these parents on the value of music lessons for their child's early development. Share studies and informal research on how music lessons positively affect a child's future. Use yourself as an example. Since you'll be starting off teaching one-to-one lessons in person, be sure to use location tags on all your posts. Share music-related events that you believe would interest your ideal student. Although most of your first students will be in person, don't be afraid of teaching over a video conferencing platform like Skype, Zoom, or FaceTime. I'll go over this option more in my next video about how to scale your voice studio. As part of your marketing efforts to attract your very first students, consider offering free lessons in exchange for testimonials. This is a common practice among new coaches. Yes, some people will just come for the one free lesson and may or may not follow through with their review. But many others will not only leave the review, they'll also sign up for a series of lessons. If you're feeling a little unsure about starting this business all by yourself without experience, consider signing up to teach at your local instrument or music store. I did this when I lived in Florida, and it really helped to build my confidence. These businesses have designated rooms attached to the main sales space to demo the instruments they sell, as well as teach people how to play them. A new customer will often buy a lesson package along with their new guitar. Although the stores don't pay as much as you could charge for private lessons, they're a great place to get started. Obviously today, social media is definitely the prime place to market goods, services, and everything else, but there's still nothing like the old-fashioned flyer route. Go retro and make a flyer with the little cut slips down the side that include your contact info. Paste these up around your area at coffee shops, schools, colleges, gyms, and markets. And on that flyer, you should definitely include your website. If you already have a website for your performing career, you just need to add a simple page or section describing what you teach and how you teach it. Definitely include those Yelp testimonials you've started to collect. And if you don't already have a website, then create one devoted to your new teaching business. You may be worried about where to teach your students, but really the vast majority of singing teachers and coaches teach out of their own homes. Typically, they have a room or even just a part of a room set aside for teaching. My own first teaching space was just a part of the living room of my one-bedroom apartment in Oakland, California. All that's required is a piano, keyboard, or guitar for running the student through vocal exercises and scales, and a place for the student to stand where they can see you and you can see them without obstruction. I've always liked to have a mirror nearby or on the wall so my students could observe themselves singing when I thought it might be useful for them to see the tension in their neck or the shape of their mouth on a certain vowel or the funny crinkling that was happening on their forehead. But this is entirely optional. All you need is enough space for you and your student to feel comfortable working together. And make sure to share your own singing in public venues, both in person and online. Volunteer to sing at venues where your ideal students and/or their parents hang out, like school functions and community events. Start a YouTube channel or share your vocals on Instagram and any other social media platform of your choice. People like to learn from people they think sing well. Make sure to include clips of your singing on your website, even if the website is devoted solely to your teaching. This can even lead to more gigs, as your students and potential students may refer you to singing gigs like parties, house concerts, and weddings. Finally, get listed on several of the online teaching sites and voice teacher directories. Although these sites charge a nominal fee or take a percentage of your profit, they put you in front of a lot of qualified leads, real students looking for singing lessons in your area. Some of the teaching and tutoring sites include privatelessons.com, takelessons.com, and thumbtack.com. I was quite happy using the site privatelessons.com when I started out. They've been online since 1996, so they're already over 20 years old. You'll find links to all these sites in the description below. And if you've used any of them or have other favorites, please tell us about them in the comments. It's also useful to join professional associations like NATS, the National Association of Teachers of Singing. NATS is a great way to network and raise both your credibility and your visibility. You can volunteer to help with the chapter events in your neighborhood and even give and take master classes. Additionally, they have a directory of teachers and members are listed for free. Belonging to an association like NATS will boost your credibility as an expert in your field. You'll find a link to the NATS website as well as links to several other professional organizations in the description below. Most importantly, remember that you only need to be a few steps ahead of your ideal students. You've been singing for a long time. Why not use your knowledge in a way that helps other people and provides an additional revenue stream for you? One of the biggest challenges to singers who run their own voice studios is teacher burnout. So in my next video, I'll be sharing best practices for growing and scaling your voice studio. Because wouldn't it be amazing if you could share your knowledge and be of service while simultaneously accruing passive income, thereby freeing up your time for more performing and higher paying one-to-one clients? If you found this video useful, go ahead and like it, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments below what other topics you'd like me to cover to help you further your singing career. And make sure to check out my last two videos where I cover the biggest mistakes I see singers making on Instagram, as well as best practices for growing your Instagram account organically when you're just starting out. Now, as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.